Get ready for an uplifting experience with Coached Soul. Join us as we bring you the dynamic duo of Steve Hudgens, a licensed professional counselor, and Kenya Evelyn, a transformational leadership coach. Together, they'll guide you through engaging episodes filled with valuable insights and actionable tips on mental health, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and personal growth. Coached Soul is your go-to podcast for empowering discussions that will help you thrive. So let's get started and welcome our hosts, Steve and Kenya.
All right, welcome back, Kenya. I mean, what a great 4th of July as usual. Just the fireworks. Where I live, there is this hill that I can get on, right? And I can see what I call a seabed of fireworks. I can see Tulsa, I can see Jinx, I can see 3 or 4 different cities, but then the neighborhoods, the hill is such that it looks like a seabed, a flag waving of fireworks, and it's just an amazing view. And I want to kind of start off with just the freedom to speak. That oftentimes I think we stop ourselves from freedom to speak, that we don't have a voice, that we stop ourselves from thinking that I don't have a voice. And so people ghost. We've talked about things like that before. And to me, ghosting is a cowardly way of not expressing. And freedom to
That
speak,
is one perspective.
that is
There's
one
one
perspective.
There's
Yes,
other perspectives. Yes.
there is.
Fear.
Fear, yes.
Fear.
But freedom to speak, it's we can't yell fire, that's restricted because that causes harm in a theater unless there's really a
Yes.
fire, right?
Sure.
But we do have freedom of speech. But I think
I
of
feel
freedom
like
of speech as responsibility.
there we go. I was about to say to not scream fire in a public space is to respect what kind of energy creates when you pushing fear.
Right.
Literally pushing fear. So save that for danger only. But you're speaking something way deeper than that. Man, where do I start? As a woman, I had no idea what it is to have a voice. As a woman, it took me decades to find my voice. It took me decades to find me, in the sense that I would actually value my own opinion. And I know it sounds crazy for the people that grew up with me. It's like, oh no, Kenya was all on stage singing. She's a people person. She's the life of the party, blah, blah, blah. And I actually didn't see that as a mask because I was truly being genuine. But I was hiding all my fears and all my rejection issues and all my pain through the eyes of let's have a party.
I want to take
Let's
that a
sing it
step
out.
further for you, because there is difference in culture. How much is there freedom to speak for a female in Brazil?
No, I disagree.
No,
I don't think it's a Latino thing. I think it's for women in general. There is
okay.
a so-called indoctrination up until now. The world is, thank God, rapidly shifting into partnership. I actually don't like the word equality because there's so much going on out there about equality, because
Right.
I don't want to be equal to a man. I actually don't want to. I want to not be equal to a man, and that is my opinion. I love being my female self, and I want you to take care of the cars and the things, and I want to take care of all things me and household and whatever. That's my opinion. Anywho,
Okay.
back to voice.
Yes.
When I start using my voice to my husband, he thought I was being B word.
Mm. It's what I call the teacher tone.
I didn't know how to, it was a frustration tone. Now, note to self, my beloved Jeremy has never put me down and say, don't use your voice. It was a complete indoctrination of whatever's good. What do you want? Whatever's good for the family. Where do you want to eat? Whatever everybody wants to eat. I don't care. And I really actually didn't care. But those are habits of not having a voice. It's generational curse from grandmother to mom to great grandma, blah, 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 whatever. This is so important. This is such an important conversation for women and for everybody in general, everyone in general, because if you don't know what you stand for, if you don't know what you stand against, you don't have a voice. You would just agree with the herd. You will not research. You will not see yourself as worthy to have a completely different perspective than what the world is telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, the world is telling me, Kenya, that I'm just as good as man, and we don't need man, and you can just do whatever you want, and middle finger spiritually or physically. And I don't believe that at all. I'm raising 2 boys. I believe that my voice is just as important as his voice. And I will always want and create a space for a male hug, for a male voice of perspective. Because when Jeremy comes to my life, when a friend comes to my life, when a coaching client that is male come to my life, it adds so much. It actually 10x my vision, and I 10x their vision. Like, we're so better together. But again, I will not know how to receive your voice if I don't know my voice. So freedom of speech starts with knowing and desiring to know your voice.
It's also being responsible in regard to how you speak. You know, as a faith-based person, when I look about what scriptures teach me, it says, while it's still day, encourage one another.
Yeah.
And part of that responsibility is my freedom to speak to my own self. Sometimes we need to encourage ourselves. But for men's perspective of freedom of speech, our words carry power, and they can hurt a woman very quickly because women
100%.
enjoy the words of affirmation. They want to know.
Can we just say human? It's one of the human needs. It's not just women
That's true.
that
That's true.
needs words of affirmation. I actually feel like men needs more words of affirmation than women. Women needs more affection and presence, in my opinion.
No, I mean, I agree with that as well. We both, it just depends where that is set. You know, for
The
me,
spectrum.
that I work through a healthy attachment style now, it's more secure. Yeah, it's great. I appreciate the kudos. I enjoy your quality time more. And if you're upset and you're not using your voice, that affects me because then I can't have the quality time that I want with that person.
Exactly.
And so freedom to speak is being able to be aware of, you know, hey, today I woke up, and this is what I teach in my therapy to my couples. It's a stoplight at an intersection that controls the flow within the traffic. You can wake up and say, hey, I woke up. I'm so sorry that I have a headache. I don't know how I'm feeling. Please hold some safe space today. And that freedom to speak should be allowed.
100%. And as a matter of fact, if you don't have that, you really don't have a relationship. You have a ticking bomb because you're pretending. There's so much hiding and so much layers of protection in it. So let that give you feedback that your relationship is fragile. There's not big roots to that. I do want to say something that you just mentioned, which is freedom of speech. It's not just, I say whatever I want.
Right.
I'm going to speak my truth because this is what it matters. I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm whatever. Okay, here's the thing. Freedom of speech goes hand to hand with responsibility because you create with your words. You create with your thoughts first, but you absolutely create with your words. What you say, go. What you say It is the perception that you're seeing materialized in front of you. So I can go downstairs and let's say the kids just create an entire mess with the living room. There's popcorn everywhere. And I can say, oh my gosh, you guys destroyed my living room. This is a mess. Or I can say, oh, it seems like you guys are having a lot of fun. Wow. Okay, it's time to clean up.
Right.
It's the same event. I will move them out of their bottoms with fear and maybe even a little bit of a threatening. Come on, this is a mess. Da, 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 I can't believe you did this. Da, 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 da. Or I can say, okay, I love the fun. Turn off the TV. It's time to go. Let's get going. Responsibility in creation, because my tone, my frequency, my ways of being would either create love and connection,
Right.
or distance. It's always creating connection or disconnection. Connection to self, disconnection to self. Connection with God, disconnection with God. Connection with others. What I say, it's either creating connection or disconnection at all times.
One of the things, Kenya, we talked in our last podcast a little bit about a relationship that you had prior to you getting married, the narcissism here. I want to kind of focus a little bit when it comes to marriage, that oftentimes we feel like we can't have the freedom to speak. That sometimes we get trapped into, well, it doesn't matter what I say. He's not listening. She's not listening.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter
exactly.
what we say. So what are some tools that you think that we can recommend to women and men on the freedom to speak within a situation that causes them to feel restricted in their speaking?
Stories in your head. Ditch the stories in your head. Because if you ever feel like you don't have the freedom to speak, you're taking from the past. Because in the past, I said da 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 and I didn't land it. Because I have all those years of it, I know exactly how he functions. So if I'm sitting here looking at my person and already decoding, I know am I really giving him or her the ability to become? The observer creates the experience. I'll say that again. This is deep stuff, guys. I'm actually creating my husband to be stuck. If I keep talking and seeing him as stuck, I'm creating me as stuck, or whatever word it is. If I keep saying, oh, I know exactly how she works. I know exactly how my kids work. They don't listen. Blah, 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 blah. Will he ever listen if I keep saying they don't listen?
Right.
If you really are believing that every day of your life you are expanding, becoming, and is a gift to appreciate today, because you only have today. And by the way, I know I just used the word becoming. And I want to take a breath on that, because becoming can become an addiction.
Yes.
Becoming can become an addiction. Because you never arrive. The journey can become an addiction. You never arrive. Let me tell you what becoming becomes today. Let me tell you where the journey ends today. And then tomorrow you have another day in the journey. But the journey begins and then in this moment. So it's like the ultimate. If this is too deep, just ask God to decode. I just felt guided to go there. Like, you're so sovereign. You believe that what you see in the mirror begins and ends with that image. It's not. You're in an avatar. You come from the heart of God. You are so exponentially brilliant, supported, guided. Your voice is anointed. Your divine blueprint in the frequency of your voice is in such a way that nobody has your voice. Nobody has your thumbprint. It's only you. And nobody has her blueprint and voice. His blueprint. Everyone is so unique. You don't need to chase anything if you're being yourself. You're going to vibrate you. So what do you mean? Give some tools for our listeners to really know. My number one tool is to look yourself in the mirror and see how precious and incredible you are. If you see yourself at that way, then everything about you matters, especially your voice. Now then you get to practice. Do I even know what I like?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I started, by the way. Do I
You know,
actually like red? Is actually red my favorite color? Or I say that red is my favorite color because I heard my entire life my mom saying that red is her favorite color. Do I even know like who I am? What smells do I like? Go back to five senses, go back to basic.
that goes into what I do with therapy. I try to do a multi, level parallel type therapy to where I want to put the good stuff in as I'm taking out the bad stuff. I equate it to like digging in a cave. You got to shore up the walls so as you're
Yes,
taking out, it doesn't collapse. And one of the
yes,
things that I think about is our uh, how we view ourselves, how we speak to ourselves. Because when you think about people assign the label that you are a dad, a mother, a brother, a sister, a daughter, or a son. You are a therapist. You are a therapeutic coach. We all these people assign what they say to you that you are, and we believe in that speech. But it goes into deeper of I don't need these labels to assign to me. I need to have the freedom to speak out. I am a warrior. I am a child of God. And so it's how do we, the freedom to speak is providing a repetitious thought of speaking to myself
yes,
in
yes.
truth and love.
So what I hear you saying is the freedom to speak, the number one gift of this autonomy, of this anointing is to speak to yourself the truth that you seek to hear in the world. The truth that you seek to hear in the world. Speak to yourself, reparent yourself, be your best friend, be your own
Yes.
best mate, become the person that you would want to be married to. Become the one that you feel like, I really admire me. Get yourself to that point. And by the way, you might need to absolutely allow everything in your environment to crumble down and recreate, which means it might get messier before it gets airy and light. It's like when
Mm-hmm.
you're decluttering your house, you take everything out of the cabinets, you see what you want. It becomes 10x worse, but then it feels like, whew, now I have space for the new me to shine.
I want to kind of, we're halfway through our podcast, and I think it's important that, what keeps popping in my head is the freedom of speech.
Yes.
Just to speak our voice in such a way that we can be heard.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's also how do we protect ourselves from gaslighting, love bombing?
Ooh,
We have that
yes.
freedom to speak, but oftentimes it's like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling gaslight. I'm feeling gas bomb. Well, there's nothing I can do. And so we talk to ourselves in such that way that we entrap ourselves that we can't get out of this situation. So, and it's the same thing, men can be narcissistic, but often at times it's rare, meaning that it's more occurrence in women, borderline personalities. And so
I
there's
would,
several books about how to talk to a narcissist, how to talk to a borderline. Let's kind of finish out with
uh,
that.
yeah. So here's the thing, freedom of speak comes from knowing when to speak and who to speak to. Okay, so I have this incredible friend, and I think I mentioned her in a podcast before. And we are connecting every day to really expand our dreams and our visions because we believe in each other. And how important to have at least one person in your life, preferably outside of your primary relationship, that is neutral and sees your dream maybe even bigger than you see yourself. And let this be where you use your voice in the most deepest truths environment. Why? Because if you keep opening up your voice and your dreams and your vision to everyone, you are actually allowing all this outside energy that to infiltrate into your dreams, which, by the way, you got to see your dreams and your visions and your calling and your purpose as this little ball of light. It has energy, but it starts small, like a dot. And as you keep dreaming and as you keep believing and acting and expanding, it literally expands. If somebody goes there, no, I don't believe, it literally sucks energy out. And I'm talking about a thing outside of you, but let's just say it's not your dream. It's actually you. It's actually you. Like, oh, I don't think you deserve this. I think you need to lose 10 pounds. I need to, because some men can be very critical. Some people can be very, the narcissistics, those that can't really hold a mirror in their face. They think everything is perfect for them and you and the world is wrong and they're the only one right. Those are people that you cannot give a time of day at all. Like, literally, do not give them energy. Do not talk back. Do not speak. Don't care. Okay, Kenya, but what if I have one of them in my family? Cut it off. What if I can't cut it off? Then, connect them to God, connect them to earth, create a bubble of safety around you, and speak kindness and take nothing personal. But they cannot be any primary or secondary voice in your life unless you are in unworthiness and you really don't love yourself at all and you want them to change, which is clearly self-sabotaging, because they are not going to change. You're the only one that has the time, the tools to change yourself. I say this to my coaching clients all the time. If you see it, is for you. It's like, but I really want him to see it. She needs to know. No, you see it. You do something about it.
Right.
It's not about them. You get to protect you. You get to save your words for somebody that your words will land like water in a thirsty flower. They will bloom with your words.
At the same time, it's allowing ourselves to recognize, when I think about freedom to speak, we hear what other people are saying, but how often does our thought processes allow that to speak truth, even though it's a lie? We start believing in this, and our own speech becomes, well, I was stupid. I was an idiot. I should have known better. And so we use those kind of words to speak. Yeah, it's freedom to speak. But those words that we speak are also harmful. It chains, it binds us to our prison of mind, of thoughts that are harmful.
I love that you said that, because I hear two different things, right?
Yes.
I hear that if you are speaking negative words towards me, and I don't believe it at all, but in the moment I leave your presence, those words actually still resonating in my mind, and now I'm doubting, am I really that person? Oh my gosh, I can't believe he said that. So what's happening now is that in the moment that I allow outside voices to create roots, now I'm actually have them on me. I accept it and I become. So my tip and my prayer for you is that in the moment that you hear things that it doesn't belong to the truth that you are, you get to literally shield it, like lining the sand. No, this is a reflection of that person's insecurity. Thank you. I know who I am.
Right.
Close the voice. You do not allow to create a nest in your brain, in your mind, in your field. And if you did notice that you're having those thoughts, just literally surrender to God. Like that's what I do. Is like, wow, that kind of hurt. And if it hurt, here's where I go. Are you ready for this? It's a childhood trauma that got triggered. If a frequency of anything that you said actually hurts, it's because there's a part in me that actually believed that. That's why it's a trigger. If I didn't believe that at all, if you say, Kenya, you know that red hair, Kenya, I would say, what? I'm what? Like, I'm not even gonna hear. I will not
Right.
hear that you're even talking to me, even though you use the name Kenya. I would say it's probably another Kenya because I know who I am. That's not my color. But if you say something that actually hurt in a subconscious level, there's a part of me that believes that's true. That's why it's hurting. So you go do the work and give me a call and we'll do the work together.
And the
Give
freedom
a
of
call to see if we'll do
speech.
the work together. Yes. Give, because if you are crying over something that somebody said and now is landing on you, if you could do the work yourself, you would have already done it. So be kind to yourself and reach out. And it doesn't have to be us, but go love on yourself in that way and get to the bottom of those patterns and recode and surrender to God and do the things, because you are meant to be free in
And
your
I want to,
voice, in your thought. Yes.
yeah. Well, I want to close this out because
Yes.
it's that time
It's time.
that when we think about the freedom to speak, becomes a responsibility to be able, because when we form these thoughts in our mind, and
Yeah.
you know, in the book of James in the Bible, it talks about the tongue is the hardest to bridle. I have to argue that point because I think it's the mind that's the hardest to bridle, because the tongue is just an instrument of the mind. And
Correct.
so even though we may not speak verbally, it's how do we speak ourselves internally? In order to have freedom is being able to make sure that what we are speaking, not only to ourselves, can help enrich us, but it's how do we enrich the other person as well in our ability to speak. And so we hope you have enjoyed this series of freedom of patterns and freedoms of thoughts and speech and independence. And so until
Absolutely.
next time, take
Next
care.
time, love you
Bye-bye.
so much. Enjoy each other.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Coached Soul, where we aim to empower and uplift you on your journey towards personal growth and well-being. Remember, as you navigate through life, you don't have to do it alone. We encourage you to reach out to professionals, seek support from loved ones, and take the time to prioritize your own well-being. Stay tuned for future episodes filled with even more valuable insights and actionable tips. Remember, you have the power to thrive. And with Coached Soul by your side, anything is possible. Until next time, take care, stay empowered, and keep shining your brightest light.